Senator Ferguson, the media. I want to talk to you about the media. This interview's come about because I contacted you last night after reading an article in the Jersey Evening Post about your scrutiny review you've just done, where it's come out with such things as you've ducked the key questions about what went wrong, etc. Do you think it's a fair description that they published last night of your scrutiny review just done on Lime Grove?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's a pity they didn't read the report before they actually commented. In fact, I think it's a pity that the reporter hadn't read the report before he wrote his article, because it was quite obvious as we got into this review that it was a great deal more than just the purchase of a building. I mean, yes, we've had a terrific amount of documentation to go through, and one of the things we discovered when we cross-referenced is that we haven't had all the documentation. Now, it's probably an oversight, but, I can't make any sort of judgment on that. But there was going to have to be another round to get all the documentation to fit in with the cross-referencing.
Well, rather than going into the ins and outs of rights and wrongs, who's right, who's wrong with the Lime Grove itself, I'd rather sort of go on to the subject of media, if that's okay with you, because obviously the Jersey Evening Post in this instance, although I'm not just singling them out, have written a report which has given people, if you look at some of the comments that were written, why has no one in the States got the balls to make a decision? These are quotes from the Jersey Evening Post website. Too big an issue or too competent to deal with it. So, do you think that people have got the right opinion of what your scrutiny panel review after reading the JP?
No, I don't think they have at all, because one of the things that comes across loud and clear in our report is that it covers issues which are a great deal bigger than just buying a building. It covers the question of the manner in which the state conducts its business. It covers the management and dealing with employees, and it also covers the conduct of the minister and his team. Now, these are much bigger issues than just the purchase of a building. And when you add to it the fact that there are people's professional reputations at stake, this is much bigger than just a simple, well, we were going to buy a building and it went wrong.
Well, I want to come on to that professional reputations at stake in a minute, but if you could just wonder, the impression I got, and I believe you got, and other people got, was the story in the Jersey Evening Post basically said you were passing the buck by giving this review to the Controller and Auditor General. Do you think you're fobbing it off, just passing the buck?
No, because this is going to be because of the issues that I've talked about, it's going to be a review dealing with a very sensitive subject, and it needs to have somebody do a detailed review who is both a forensic accountant and who is seen as absolutely independent, because we cannot have any detailed review of these wide-ranging subjects that can be immediately be rubbished as coming with a political agenda attached. And the scrutiny panel are politicians. So, this is quite a valid...
It's the right place to go, is what you're thinking. It was the only place left to go.
Well, frankly, yes, because if we'd come out and said, this, that and the other, then you could immediately say, oh yes, but you're politicians, you've got a political agenda. So it's absolutely essential that the detailed review is done by somebody who is completely independent and has no political agenda.
So I suppose that from critics like myself on scrutiny, as you know, I've been critical of the scrutiny process, not so much the hard work and everything that you guys do, but it's the teeth that you haven't got. What do you think this says about the effectiveness of scrutiny if you can't deal with this and you have to pass it on?
Well, it depends what you say can't deal with it. There are different ways of dealing with it. We could have brought a proposition. We could just issue a statement. This is an alternative method of dealing with it. We're passing it to somebody who has got the breadth and of experience and the command to be able to deal with the wider issues, which I think you're probably going to come on to later.
Yeah, the rest of it. Now, I just want to bring it back, if I can, to the professional reputations. Because I need to put something very clear and on the record here, because I know on the internet and other sites that David Flowers, the officer of the planning department, I watched him give evidence, listened to him give evidence, a consummate professional, in my opinion. Now, there's accusations going around that he's taken a backhander and signed a gagging order. Now, that's not true, is it? He hasn't signed a gagging order, and it certainly hasn't taken a backhander.
Well, I think it works that when you are relinquishing a contract, I'm not quite sure of the terminology, both parties sign an agreement that nothing will be said. And as far as the officer is concerned, I haven't seen the particular agreement, so I can't quote from it. But from my knowledge of previous ones, it means that you will not talk to the media. You will just disappear, effectively.
Because what seems to have come out in one of your hearings is that the top civil servants get a bit of a raw deal here, because they're signing a contract, which they have to. They're part of their when they leave, they have to sign this contract. But so does the minister, that they can't impugn the integrity or reputation. As in this case, it's the Minister for Treasury, Philip Ozef, would have signed something saying that he can't impugn the integrity of David Flowers, and vice versa. And they can't speak to the media.
Well, this was something that we have highlighted in at the end of the executive summary of the report, that there are certain things that we think which are outside the remit of our review, but there are things that need to be dealt with, and one of these is this issue of confidentiality. Now, I'm not sure which department it is in Wales, but they have come out and said, look, this is out of date in this day and age, and it certainly seemed to us extremely unfair that one party to such a contract is actually gagged, apart from appearing before statutory bodies like Scrutiny, and the other party to the contract is free to take advantage of all the various forms of media that are around, and this needs looking at.
And still speak with privilege, in this case, as in the Treasury Minister, Philip Ozef's case, he can still speak with privilege in the State's building and still say what he's like, but the civil servant is still gagged. It's not fair, is it?
And that it's not equitable, it's not natural justice, and it needs looking at, but that was way out of the remit of our scrutiny review. And as I say, it's the sort of thing that needs an independent, impartial look, because if we bring it, it just looks like, politicians scoring points.